All right, boys, I hope you enjoyed the last video. Today, we're going to be going over branding in depth. And branding is a topic I have talked about a ton throughout all of my videos of how important it is. So today, hopefully I can get a little bit deeper and show you kind of like the last pillars, the last fundamentals, and really give you everything you need to understand exactly how to execute on the brand that you're going to create. And before we dive into it, I do want to mention when you're doing like the Facebook strategy with like the street style man approach and all the clothes, I don't recommend that as much. It can be very good to get some upfront cash, but I really don't recommend it at the highest. I think building a brand is your best bet, and I think going this route is the smartest. So do keep that in mind. And a lot of the stuff that applies with branding isn't really going to apply with that like street style man approach. So yeah, just keep some of that stuff in mind. And without further ado, let's get into branding in depth. The first thing I want to go over is framing and positioning. I really cannot stress how important this is, and someone who explained it in a very beautiful way is Virgil Abloh. He gives a comparison of a dirty, like let's say like a Pepsi can on the side of the road. It's old, it's tarnished, it's basically a piece of garbage just sitting in the gutter, right? So get that as a kind of vision in your mind. There's an old dirty Pepsi can sitting in a gutter, and then we have the same Pepsi can that's put in a high-class museum. It's on a pedestal covered with glass, it's roped off, there's a ton of people looking at it and taking pictures. Now, both of these are the exact same thing, right? If you put a random person, if you did like a social experiment, showed them the dirty can on the street and then showed them that exact same can on a pedestal in a museum, they would have completely different thoughts about it, even though it's the exact same thing. And that's kind of a crappy explanation on my end, but essentially it shows that the frame of the picture is more important than the subject of the picture, right? So the subject is the can. It's a dirty can, it's old, nobody really cares about it. But if it's framed in a different way, if it's on a street, right? The street is the framing around the image. Then someone's like, oh, it's just garbage. But if the frame is it's in a high-class museum, there's people taking pictures about it, and you're like, whoa, what's up with this can? Is it like from World War II, from some famous person who died in the war? Like, what is this can? Who touched this can? Why is this can important? You assume importance based on its frame. Other examples of this are Louis Vuitton, designer brands, Rolex, Rolls-Royce, all these companies that are viewed as a very high status symbol is because they're framing, right? And how do they frame themselves? They frame themselves with content, with the influencers they work with, they frame themselves with price point, and they frame themselves with quality, right? A quality product, high quality, right? But what's interesting is a lot of these brands have quality that's pretty comparable to stuff that isn't a luxury brand. So the best way to think of this is clothes, like Louis Vuitton, Gucci, all that stuff. Some of their clothes aren't really that high quality. They're not like manufactured in some different way that's super unique, or they're not like custom tailored or anything. It's literally just you're buying a brand. You're buying the name so someone can look at you and go, oh wow, that guy can afford Louis Vuitton. That's crazy. It's interesting that sometimes price point doesn't communicate quality. You're literally just buying a normal t-shirt. Like these t-shirts I wear in all of my videos are $12 t-shirts. They're from Rue Porter. I buy them in wholesale and they're literally great t-shirts, but they're only 12 bucks. Like the quality of this t-shirt is probably higher than some of Gucci's shirts, some of Louis Vuitton's like thin t-shirts. Like this is a nice like 6 or 7, I think it's like 8-ounce cotton t-shirt. Like it's a really nice, sturdy, large, oversized t-shirt. And a lot of brands sell stuff like this for hundreds of dollars. Like you can go get a Louis Vuitton t-shirt for like 800 bucks. And I guarantee this $12 shirt that I got wholesale is way better quality. So it's really interesting when we get into framing and positioning and just kind of commanding high price points, and that can be something that builds the brand. Companies like Patek, companies like Rolex, they sell stainless steel watches. The watch has like the complication, like if you're in horology, like the complication behind the watch is like nothing. Like it literally just tells time. It doesn't even have a date function on it. Like it's insanely simple watches that are made with materials that are not expensive at all. It's a quartz crystal kind of covering, a very basic base like dial, and a stainless steel bracelet. Like it is literally costs nothing, and some of those watches can go for hundreds of thousands of dollars. So getting deep into framing and positioning is one of the best things you can do because it doesn't even require high quality, right? It just requires perceived quality. It's all about perception. And how do we change these perceptions? How do we get people to think we're the highest quality? The best way we can do this is through our content, right? It's through our pictures, our videos, the influencers we work with, and our website and all that stuff. And we can convey this high quality. And the beauty behind that is we don't have to do that at day one. We can start with drop shipping, get some money to invest, build out our brand, and then start repositioning our brand as an extremely high quality luxury company once we have our product with like our brand name on it, once it's customized a little bit, and once we kind of reach higher status levels, we can completely reposition and change the brand. So some different ways to position yourself are you either need to be the first to sell this product, you need to be the first to kind of take over this product at a high level, or the first like brand to position that product to a specific community. Like for example, eyelash serums, we've talked a little bit about those. You could be the first person to do an eyelash serum just for older women in their 40s, right? Like you can be the first to a specific niche, tailoring a product to them, right? So we can do that route, or we can be the best route. We can position ourselves as, hey, we're the best in the industry. Like a company that does this, for example, is Rolls-Royce. They position themselves as we are the highest quality car, right? They have like $500,000 cars that, yes, it's an extremely nice car. You're getting like custom interior, all this crazy stuff. Like it's very high quality. And they're just positioning themselves as like, oh, you just made millions of dollars. Like the highest quality car you could get that you could daily drive is a Rolls-Royce, right? They're not trying to be like a sports car that's like the fastest. They're trying to be the best. They're trying to be the highest quality, the most comfortable, the best features. And so that's kind of a good example of being the best. So you can either be the first, you can either be the best, or you can be different. A really good example of a brand that is different, like they're trying to take that level of positioning, is Liquid Death. They just sell water, but they sell canned water, and their marketing is towards like heavy metal. Like it's super odd. Like they're just such a different brand. It's so unique. It's so weird. They're not the first to sell water. They are the first to sell canned water, I believe. They probably aren't like the actual first. I'm very sure there's been people that have sold canned water, but they're the first to kind of like make it a thing. So they're using the first and different position. So if you want to position yourself good, you have to be either first, best, or different. You can choose a mix of all of them in small different ways, but you really need to make sure you have one that's like your main thing. And I think for Liquid Death, the main thing is they're just different. The way they market themselves is just different. Their ads they run are insane, and they're not afraid to be out there. They're not afraid to like make these statements and claims and like just do super crazy weird shit, because in the end of the day, that's like the ethos behind their brand. And we'll get into ethos and stuff. Yeah, don't be afraid to do that with your brand. Don't be afraid to make some crazy content. Obviously, like be careful making like certain statements and like doing legal stuff, or like being very like politically one-sided, or there's some things that can be detrimental, but honestly, all publicity or press is good publicity or press. So it doesn't really matter how over the line you are. Like people like Andrew Tate, people like Donald Trump, they can say these crazy things, and it just kind of like builds their reputation even more. So don't be afraid to do some things like this with your brand. I want to quickly list again all of the brands who started dropshipping, and there's a ton more. We have High Smile, BlendJet, Oodie, Manscaped, Movement Watches, Snow Teeth Whitening, Shein, Fashion Nova, and I'm pretty sure Wayfair got started dropshipping as well, and I do know that they still dropship now. They do what's called high ticket dropshipping, where they basically just have connections with suppliers for like saunas, huge tables, outdoor garages that are like hundreds of feet wide. And they basically just bring in customers, and then the person who actually does the fulfillment and creates those huge products just ships it to the customer, does whatever they do. Wayfair is a huge dropshipper. And I'm almost positive that's how they got started as well. I don't think they've ever really held inventory of things. And what's crazy about Wayfair is they started drop shipping. I'm almost 90% positive on that. They're still doing drop shipping, and they are a publicly traded company with a $60 stock, and they are worth $6.3 billion. So it just goes to show you can do a lot with drop shipping. Now, I want to jump into the pillars of a good brand. So if you've gone to like business classes or a college or something, you've probably heard this. It's called the 5 Ps. And these are like the 5 pillars, the 5 Ps of branding. And I wanted to mention them because there is a lot of good points behind it. So the first pillar, the first P, is purpose. There needs to be a really strong purpose behind your brand. What's the reason you made it? Why do people care? What's the emotion behind it? What's the story? Who are you communicating with? And this is stuff I've mentioned a lot, like Nike. What is their purpose for athletes that are trying to go to the next level, that are trying to be pros? What's their emotion? It's people that are going from 0 to 1, people that are going from like these super like horrible backgrounds of a sad upbringing, and it shows their progress story from going to nothing to being like a top athlete in the world. And that's their ethos, right? That's their meaning, that's their story, that's the impact, that's the purpose. So what is the purpose? What's the impact, the story, emotion, and ethos behind your brand? This is a really big question. This is like everything. That's why I mentioned it first. Your purpose is huge. If your brand has zero purpose, nobody is going to have an emotional frequency resonation with your brand. They're not going to care. So it's really important to have your product resonating with a specific demographic, a specific community of people, but your brand also needs to resonate and kind of further that connection and create something deeper, that your brand really means something, that people feel it. There's a story behind it, and that story and that impact, that purpose is delivered in all of the content that you create. All right, so the next pillar, the next P is your perception. And this is something that you're not directly in control of. It's kind of like the indirect perception based on your internal and external actions that your brand takes. It's based on your product's quality, the content you make, and it's a reflection of how you do work and how people interact with your brand. Like, let's say you have a certain perception you're trying to build up of being very high quality, but when someone orders a product and it delivers to them and it's really low quality, then your perception is dictated off that, not what you said. So this one's a little bit harder to explain, but I hope that kind of makes sense. It's also based on internal things. Like if you say you have a very good brand culture, you take care of people that work for you, but someone comes into the brand and you don't do that, then your brand perception is changed. So it's ultimately a reflection of your actions and how you execute. So your perception is kind of indirect, but it's a really, really big one, and you need to make sure it's very good. Now, the next P or the next pillar is personality. The personality is also similar to reflection, but it's more of the one you can control, and it's kind of the one you can't control as well. These are a little bit confusing, but personality is based off like the tone of voice you have in your advertisements, how you talk to your customers, what your brand's opinions and moods are on certain things. Your personality is built on how you position your brand, but it's also built on the personality of the people that resonate with your brand. This is where it's kind of indirect, because people really form a certain perception of your brand based on the people who like it. Let's think of Supreme, for example. They were a company that was created by skaters, so obviously skaters kind of resonated with it, and that's kind of their demographic. Like if you think of someone who's wearing Supreme, you think of someone who likes rap music, someone who's into like pop culture, someone who's really into skating and is kind of like a rebel, and that's kind of their brand personality. And they did intentionally create that, but your brand personality kind of take like a life of its own, where it can go places that you didn't expect. Like you can make a product and your goal is like, okay, we want 40-year-old women to resonate with this brand. And for some reason, there's some complete other demographic out there that takes control of the brand, and they're the ones who actually like it. And now you kind of need to reposition to cater to them, because that's where your money's coming from and they're giving your brand life. So now you kind of have to pivot and reposition. Now, usually that isn't the case, but it is important to understand that the type of people that, let's say if you're a clothing brand, the type of people that wear your clothes ultimately have a reflection of your brand. So this is a really cringy, really like bad, weird example, but let's say you have a clothing brand that's designed for like people that think they're alphas, right? People that think they're like the top G. But then a bunch of nerds start wearing this brand and your brand gets popular and everyone sees like nerds wearing it. Then someone who's actually like an alpha top G isn't going to really wear that brand, because the perception and the personality of the brand has been changed by the people who wear it. So kind of cringe example, but this is really something that you need to be kind of aware of, that the people that resonate with your brand can overall change the perception of it. This is why high level watch brands like AP, like Patek, like Richard Mille or whatever, have really strict guidelines of the people that they let buy their watches, because they don't want it ever getting into a certain demographic that they aren't trying to cover. And they also can basically just do this with price points. If you just sell your watch for $500,000, then obviously only rich people will have it. So that's another way to kind of dictate your perception and personality of your brand. The next P or the next pillar is your position. Positioning is really important with your brand. And your position is dictated based on like the main selling point of your brand. Like, do you sell cheap products? Do you sell products at like a fair price? Well, then that's your positioning. That's the way that you are trying to communicate to customers, right? Like, you're not positioning yourself as a high quality luxury brand. You're positioning your brand as someone who's for everyone and it's at a fair price. Is your brand known for doing super fast shipping like Amazon? That's kind of their positioning. Their position is they sell almost anything and everything and they'll get it to your house really fast. Does your brand sell a unique product for a very specific type of individual? Then that's your positioning. So it's really important to understand your positioning and make sure it falls in alignment with all the other P's and all of the other elements of your brand. Now, the last P or the last pillar is promotion. And this one's kind of obvious. It's just like, how are you going to get in front of your customer, right? Are you going to run organic video ads? You're going to work with a ton of influencers? You're going to do TikTok ads, Facebook ads, Google, YouTube ads? How are you going to get in front of your customer? And how are you going to promote yourself? What offers are you going to give to them? How are you going to convince them to be a customer? How do you get in front of these people that are in your specific demographic? Give them a product they care about, speak their language, give them a good price point, give them a good product that solves their problems, backed with a good guarantee. All that type of stuff is dictated in your promotion. So we want to make sure we have a really clear, direct answer for kind of all of these pillars. We want to know, how are we going to promote ourselves? How are we going to position ourselves? What's our personality? Who are we trying to be in resonance with? What's the overall perception? What's the purpose? And we really want to clump all these together so they're building off each other and there's like cohesive resonance with all of the things that we do inside our brand. And one of the biggest things to portray all of this, like I said before, is your content, is your framing of how you talk to your customer. What do your video ads look like? What do your pictures look like? What is your literal words you say, your ad copy in your product descriptions, in your video ads? And your content is ultimately, everyone says content is king. Like, it is the ultimate dictating factor between having a Rolex level brand and having a Casio level brand that just sells cheap watches. Something also really good to understand about content is marketing in general. You kind of need to understand some elements of marketing. Marketing right now or in the past, it's always been about who can scream the loudest, who has the biggest budget to spend on ads, who can spend $1 million on ads to outdo the competitor and to gain most of the niche and kind of take over that sector of business. But when you it's kind of like a teeter-totter. When you go into a big screaming match, it eventually gets oversaturated. Everyone's yelling too loud. Nobody can really hear. And so customers just kind of drown it out. And then then the teeter-totter kind of changes. And this is what people are doing now. They're looking for brands that speak their language, right? That don't really yell. Ones that are just there. They embody the frequency of what they're trying to sell, right? There's resonance with everything they do. And they're focusing on brands that have good customer experience and have high quality products. Now more than ever, your reviews are so important. Because we're doing online business, right? Someone can go online, check your Trustpilot reviews, check all these things and make sure your brand is actually what they say it is. Make sure your products are actually what you say they are. And people can really kind of proof check you really quick. So people are starting to figure out, okay, we don't have to spend as much on ads. What we should really do is grab this budget that we were using for ads and make our product better, make our shipping faster, make it more high quality, make the overall user experience better. Right? Like when you buy a product from Apple, their user experience isn't anything crazy, but they have this really nice box and you open it up and you get this feeling of excitement, and the presentation of the product, the unboxing is like the user experience, the customer journey. You get to peel the thing off the screen and it's fresh and brand new and you're all excited. So businesses are now starting to figure out that the best money you can spend is on high quality products, and word of mouth will just catch fire. It's just natural. If someone has a very high quality product, they had a good experience, and they're a part of a certain specific niche community, like hiking. Let's say I have a hiking company. I sell hiking boots. They're the best hiking boots you've ever seen. They are so comfortable. They solve all the aches and pains you could have in your foot. They're warm, they're comfortable, they're lightweight. And when you purchase from our website, the user experience is amazing. It's simple. Our customer support is just fantastic. When you open your box, there's little secret things that we never told you would be in there, like a little free gift and 20% off your next order and all these things. And you're just like overwhelmed, like, holy shit, like I did not expect this. Like this company went over the top for me. And what that does is you just earned a loyal customer, but now they're in a hiking community, right? They're going to go on a hike and tell everyone like, these are the best boots I've ever had. You wouldn't believe what the company did. You wouldn't believe their customer support. It was so amazing. And they don't even run ads. There's a lot of companies that are going towards that direction. And obviously we're drop shipping, right? We can't do that day one, but that's what we need to have as our ultimate goal. And that's something I want you guys to understand is marketing is switching. The tides are shifting. We are not getting into screaming matches as much as we are focusing on user experience and having a perfect resonance or resonance or whatever the word is with a specific demographic. So very key points, and I really want you guys to understand that and take that away from this video. Another topic that you really need to understand when it comes to branding is purchasing psychology or buyer's psychology. It's really important to understand the psychology of a potential customer. What are they thinking about? What are they wanting to see within our product, within our brand, so we can create that experience for them with the content we do or with the branding and the overall position we try to take with our brand. We want to make sure that whatever we create is catered to the type of customer that we want to have. So let's go over some tips to understand buyer psychology and how we can utilize it to make our brand better. The first thing is emotion versus logic. A lot of people think that logic is the biggest factor when it comes to purchasing something, but it's actually emotion. Emotion is literally greater than logic in its level of importance. When people go to make a purchase, they have two different factors going on in their head. You need to appeal to their logic and you need to appeal to their emotion. The logic is really easy to appeal to. Basically, all you have to do is offer them a guarantee, have a decently fair price point, and it'll make logical sense in their head. Okay, I'll get the product. If it's not amazing, I have a 14-day money-back guarantee, no questions asked, that I can use if the product isn't what I think it is. And overall, the brand seems very trustworthy, comes with a lifetime warranty if it ever breaks. So you can really appeal to their logic very, very quickly. So the only thing that's left is to get them emotionally. You need to have an emotional sale. They need to picture their life being improved through having this product. They need to picture that, wow, once I get this, the feelings that I have are going to be so amazing. Let's say you have a brand that has that really good user experience of like opening up the product. The unboxing process is like super cool. You can show that in your product description. You can show that on your website, show a video of someone unboxing it and the emotion you'll feel afterwards, and show people in like customer reviews with the benefit of the product. Let's say the product like the eyelash serum, it grows your eyelashes. Make sure all your reviews are of these pretty girls that have huge eyelashes. So anyone comes in and sees and they go, wow, I would feel so good if I didn't have to put on fake eyelashes. And if my natural eyelashes looked that good and all I had to do was put mascara on and I'm ready to go anywhere and I look super good. You need to sell on that emotion. That emotion is what's going to get them to purchase it. Them thinking, wow, I'll look like that pretty girl with ease just from using this eyelash serum, and I won't have to pay $200 for an eyelash appointment every couple months or how often girls do it. That's what they're buying on. They're not buying on logic. They're not buying just because you have a guarantee. They're buying on emotion because they want you to solve their problem and they want to feel like, they want to look like the person that is reaping the benefits from using your product. So it's really important to show that to them and to appeal to their emotion. It's the most powerful thing you can do. Another tip I want to explain is that novelty equals value. If you can sell a product that's never been seen before, something that someone is like so amazed even exists, that creates novelty and that creates value in your brand. You're also seen is one of those positions that I mentioned, right? You're either first, best, or different. You're the first to sell it, right? So it is different. So it is automatically assumed that it's the best also. You're hitting like all of those points. And that's kind of where I talked about wow factors being important, is because a wow factor is kind of given off novelty. It's kind of given off of something like, wow, I've never seen this before. That's really cool. And if you can sell something like that to someone, it gives them a powerful emotional experience of like, wow, I've never seen a product like this. And they'll show their friends, like, they'll be like, oh, where'd you get this? This is cool. I've never seen something like this. Then they plug your brand, word of mouth, and if you have a good customer experience and all that stuff, you can really blow up off that alone. I kind of already mentioned this, but the third tip is just guarantees. Make sure you have a guarantee with your product. You need to offer some sort of guarantee, money back guarantee, a lifetime warranty, something along those lines, because a lot of people aren't even going to do it. Like if you have a 14-day money back guarantee and someone gets the product, a lot of them are too lazy. If you go ask all your friends, like, when's the last time you returned a product? Everyone's like, I'm too lazy to return a product. So it's super easy to just give a guarantee, and it's going to give you like 5 times more customers than you usually would have gotten without it. Overall, having a good guarantee is going to get you way more sales than it is, like it's going to bring in more revenue than it will ever lose. You're never going to have 100% of your customers go get the warranty and then you're out $100,000 from paying for ads and giving people refunds on products and stuff. It just doesn't work like that. It's always going to get you more sales, and it's never really going to cost you that much. Now, the next tip is community, and I've talked about this a ton, but I want to go a little bit more in depth. People really enjoy the sense of belonging to a specific community. They want to know that, oh, these people understand me. They speak my language. They feel the same feelings I feel. They view the world the same way I do. And overall, that's kind of why things like religion are so big, is because that's like the ultimate thing, is like, what's your view of reality? What's your view of why we're here? And so to be in a community of people that are all in agreement on one specific view is like something that people really want. Like, whatever your view on religion is aside, like that's a big selling point of religion, is you are with people that understand you, that feel the same way you do, that think the same way you do. So if your brand can incorporate something like that, that's going to be next level. And one of the best ways you can kind of create that community is actually through your reviews and testimonials. For example, let's say we're selling those eyelashes, right? We're doing the eyelash serum. And let's say we have a brand that all we do is target people that are older, right? We want to have like the 40-year-old moms is our main customer. So what we can do is we'll have like really pretty young girls using the eyelash serum as the ad, but the way we talk to them and the way we target our customers on our Facebook ads, on our TikTok ads, whatever, is we target the older ages. We speak to the older ages. Would you like youthful lashes again, right? And we could be called Youthful, right? That's the brand name, whatever. But the most important thing we could do, the biggest thing we could do, is in all of our reviews, all of our testimonials, like we'll have video reviews of our brand. It's all old people that say like, my eyelashes look so young again. Like I feel like I'm 20 again. My eyes look so beautiful. I'm so happy to have them back to how they used to be, or something. And then all of the girls in our ads are young, so it gets their attention. Like that's a recipe for an amazing brand. And let's say I'm a 40-year-old woman. I go onto that store and I see that everyone who's buying, all of the girls in the testimonials are also 40-year-old women. My subconscious is going to be lighting up of like, wow, this brand is made for me. Right? And that's the emotion we want to sell. Like that's what's so important, so strong. And I can guarantee you any 40-year-old woman with bad eyelashes is going to see that and be like, okay, it's only $30. I'll buy the product. Then now you're kind of creating that community group around that demographic, and then you can get other products and just do that same niche targeting on that specific type of person within these huge markets that we know do so well. We can also test things out, like having older girls use our product for a while. They get really good eyelashes and then they make our video ads. My eyelashes used to look like this. Now they look like this. They're so youthful, right? And we can really just crush it with this brand. And we want to make sure that we use like communal language. Like we want to speak the language of what 40-year-old girls talk about, what they're interested in. Say these key terms like youthful. Like we want to speak their language of the things that pain them, the things that excite them, their desires. We want to speak to them in that way. So another thing you can do, a little hack, is like find some older girl that has a large following, a very big influencer. Maybe try to find one with bad eyelashes. Give her like $1,000 because she'll have a big following, right? Give her a ton of the eyelash serum. Say, hey, we want to partner with you. You get 20% of our business. We want to do a testimonial of a before and after of your eyelashes, and we want you to be the face of our brand, right? That's what Prime did with Logan Paul. They gave him a huge percentage of the company. They probably gave him like 40 or something big for him to just be the face of it. Logan is not running the business side of Prime. He does not know how to do and execute things at that level. Running a drink company is unreal hard. So a very developed businessman just came to him and said, hey, you can have 40% of the company if we can use your face. So this is something that can really change and be like a huge opportunity for us, because that girl is going to have a lot of followers that are just like her, right? You follow someone because you're in resonance with them. You resonate with them. You like the things they like. You like the things they do. And you're probably around the same age as them. And you're probably going through the same things as them. So if someone like that can be like the face of your ads, the face of the brand, you can create an unreal amount of value and a really like a cult-like following with the people that follow her. If she's constantly recommending this brand, they're all going to go try it. And that can be kind of like the seed, the root of your brand that really gets everything going. And then you can do that with tons of influencers. And now you're a very established brand, so you're not going to give out percentages and stuff like that. But you can really see how influencers can do a lot for you. Another thing you can do that's really cool that a lot of people don't talk about is use your brand development, your product development, and like your process of creating a brand, your process of creating a product as the story behind your brand. And low-key, this is something I did myself. I've been starting an energy drink company called Void Energy, and it's something that's on pause right now because I think we're going to go into really deep recession and things are going to get really weird. But I started this company with making videos of like, here's day one of starting an energy drink company. I'll turn the audio on for you guys. So first things first, we have to come up with a brand name and logo, and then come up with the ingredient list for the energy drink as well as what flavors we're going to do. And after spending a light $15,000, here's what we've secured so far. We've gone with the brand name Void Energy. The domain was $3,415. Then we've got $1,500 for the filing of our trademark and a big chunk. So basically all I did was share my story of, hey, I'm starting an energy drink company. Here's day one. Here's the things I'm focusing on. Here's what I'm doing. And it got a huge following. You can see some videos were close to the millions. The first video hit 1 million. It gained like 100,000 subscribers with like 20 uploads, maybe 30 uploads. Yeah, like 27 uploads. Ultimately, I stopped posting on it a long time ago because I'm taking a break from it last year. So this is something you can do with your brand. You can say, hey, this is day one of starting a beauty and cosmetic brand, and here's our goal, and this is what we're doing. Right now, we're selling products that already exist, but we hope to start selling our own custom products, making our own formulas, but this is just how we're getting started. Follow us along for the journey. We're going to be giving out free products to the people who view it or anything. Study my videos I did on Void Energy. Go study that stuff because it gained a huge following, and people like to follow stories. People like to see progress, and when they can follow live, when you're like, here's day one of me starting $1 billion cosmetic brand. I'm going to try to compete with Maybelline. I'm going to try to compete with Kylie Cosmetics and make a name for myself. And I want you guys to follow me along the journey. We're going to start with drop shipping. Then we're going to custom brand our products. And people are like, okay, I want to see how far this guy goes. Like, this guy seems dedicated. Like, let's watch his journey. All I have to do is follow him and watch. And then you have a big audience that you can market to. Hey, if you want to support us, please go try out our new product. I keep using cosmetics as an example, but you can do this with anything. So never underestimate the power of telling a good story and an honest story, right? This is the day one of starting a cosmetic brand, and people can see it and they can feel it, and it just conveys trust. You're saying, hey, we're starting with drop shipping. If you want to support us, you get a product and we get some money to help start our brand. So it's a high quality product. We've done testing. We've made sure it's from a 3PL team that's going to ship it out fast and do quality testing and whatever. Just be super honest with them. And once we get 10,000 orders, we're going to start custom branding it and making our own custom unique formula or whatever. So make sure you're utilizing the power of storytelling. One of the last things is pain points. You really need to make sure you understand the pain points your product solves, the pain points that your customers go through, and you're communicating those pain points in all of your content. You're addressing the pain point. You're speaking the language, right? If you're the 40-year-old mom that has like bad eyelashes and you're upset about it, you can speak that pain point. Are you sick of having crappy eyelashes? Do you wish your eyelashes were just like they were when you were 20? Well, here's the product that everyone's raving about, right? And you show a bunch of old ladies getting good eyelashes off it, right? So you want to make sure that your video ads, your website, your content, your images, everything that you do talks about your pain points, but most importantly, talks about how your product solves those pain points. Now, basically the last thing I want to go over, and I hope you guys are getting a ton of value in this. I hope you're really understanding how brands work and thinking in a bigger picture. Because we want to pair all this stuff with our blueprint, right? With our skyscraper ideas and really mold everything together. So the last thing I want to talk about is branding and pricing correlation. So once your brand is getting more developed, once you get into that like custom formula or whatever, you're making your own product, you're putting your own brand name on it, you can command way higher prices. So let's say your eyelash serum you get for $10 when you drop ship it, you sell it for $30. But when you start customizing it, when you get your own formula, maybe you add something in that's like a sales point, like, oh, we also have vitamin C that helps you look younger and brightens your skin or whatever. You add something to it, you put your own brand name on the product. Now you can command higher prices. You could probably sell that same thing for $50 or $60 or $70. And this is ultimately how you're going to have a higher profit margin to relocate your budget, your money that you make, you reinvest it into high level influencers, working with 40-year-old ladies that have huge followings, and really making sure that you're crushing the branding element. And you're going to need a lot of money to do that, to really crush the positioning, to crush the framing. All that stuff is going to take a lot of money. So when you get into the realm of custom products and wholesale inventory and all that stuff, you need to command higher prices, and you need to focus on making higher level content that frames you in a way that's worthy of that high price. So that basically sums up all of the stuff with branding. If there's more things I think of or there's more questions you guys have, I'll come in and make new videos going on depth in certain things about branding. But this is very important. You guys need to understand branding. You need to understand the blueprint. You need to understand your skyscraper and make sure that all of the actions that you take with your brand are all correlating. All of these make sense together. You're really hitting all these points. So rewatch this video, rewatch the blueprint and skyscraper video to make sure everything's in cohesion and you're really crushing it on all fronts. Your action steps for today's video is to basically list out all of these things and make sure that your brand has an answer for all of these points. Make sure you know the pain points of your brand. Make sure you know the influencers you want to work with. Make sure you know what guarantees you're going to provide. Do you have novelty? Make sure you can get novelty in some sense. What's the emotion versus logic appeal? What's the buyer's psychology? How are you framing yourself with content? How are you promoting yourself? How are you positioning yourself? What's the brand personality? What's the brand perception? What's the purpose? purpose and to make sure everything is all in alignment when it comes to creating your brand. I hope you guys got a ton of value, and I will see you in the next module. This one wraps up all of our kind of theoretical knowledge, and we're really going to dive into module 3, cutting the tree. Can't wait to see you guys in there. Peace and love.